Okay, we're out. What a massive lump this is. Yeah, we seem to work quite well doing it around the straps. I think the rocker cover, the cam covers are strong enough. I mean, it's sitting fairly level and it just wiggled out. It just came out pretty nicely, actually. I would imagine putting it back in, it's just a case of like lower it a bit, jiggle everything and just clear stuff, wiggle it as you go down. But no, it's, yeah, you can see these lugs now. So I'm thinking, that lug's obviously come out of the gearbox. So one's in the, I'm thinking it's probably better, I don't know which way it's better to have them. Let's have a look down here. Just chucked a bit more water out. Yeah, so one lug's there and one lug's there. The issue is, you see, you've got to take the studs out of there, and the length of the stud means you've got to lift it quite high. So as it goes down, you've got to kind of, I'm assuming this is, I think there's a little mounting bar that's just flexed on, so I'm assuming when it's in place you've got to jiggle it about a bit, maybe jack the torque tube housing up and down to get them in, but I will clean them up dead well. I don't think I'll cut them back anymore, but I think they're probably better being in the, it don't really matter, gearbox or engine, doesn't really make any odds. So yeah, you can see I just left them heat shields on. I'm not going to take them off. I don't see the point. They're not in the best nick, but they're still there and doing their job. So no point really taking them out. You can see there where I've put new bolts in for the steering rack that I had to drop down to get to these bolts for the thingies. I don't know if I'll just put captive nuts in or maybe weld some bolts facing down to make it easier. But yeah, engine bay wise, I'm going to clean this up all nice, but didn't have to take the ECU off. Again, touch stuff like that, you pull the connectors off and disturb it. Maybe a wire breaks or snaps or whatever, and no reason to disturb it. If it's a problem, I'll disturb it, but I'm not disturbing anything after. That's the, which I think is to do with the aircon. That little bit there. I don't quite know what it does, but yeah, engine bay wise, it looks all right. It'll clean up quite nice. Just give you a shot of this side. So like I say, I didn't even disconnect the coil. That's got two bloody connections in the main wire to it. I don't know if it's the live or the condenser one or pickup one, but I'm going to sort that out. I'll solder some nice new wires in and make that water pipe's a bit corroded, and I'll clean that up. But yeah, generally all good. I'm not sure about the radiator. It wasn't leaking any water. Looks a little bit dubious, but I'm not sure how expensive a radiator is, because I think it's obviously got the oil cooler and the auto cooler in it as well. So I might price one up. If you can get a better quality, like dual core one or a bigger core one, aftermarket one for not a lot, I might do it at the same time. Might be simpler. But the engine mounts, so you can see they're sort of round, and but that stud, really, to be fair, is a lot longer than it needs to be. I think what I'm going to do is measure the thickness of that steel, put a bolt on and a nut, and then cut the rest of the thread off. Because the longer that stud is, the higher you've got to lift the engine before you can come forward, which is not what I want to do. Still haven't found an engine number on it. Well, there's one there on the block, on the sump, but that's an unboltable bit, so I'm going to see if there's another one on the case, etc. But yeah, so yeah, I've got a little trolley. I'm going to put it on that I can wheel it about on, sit it on the sump, I think, with a few blocks of wood. Then I'll start taking everything apart and getting it stripped down, ready for the heads off. But obviously, because I'm a bit new to this, I shall be taking a lot of stuff off without separating. So I'll probably take this off with all the injector pipes still connected on. I know it sounds a bit daft, but I ain't going to mix it up then. If I want to take them off and label them up and clean them up separately, I'll do it separately. I'm probably going to leave this because I don't know that there's anything wrong with it. You can get rebuild kits, but at the end of the day, if I put it together and it doesn't run right or it's got an injection problem, it's no drama to take that off when the engine's in, really. I know you get rebuild kits, but is it a case of, the rebuild kit's any better than the original? So the drive plate's there. I can't see anything obviously wrong there. So yeah, and you can see the oil on the exhaust. Looks like there's a bit of a leak from the cam carrier there on that corner. But there's a lot of oil. You see the oil sort of in the exhaust as well. But yeah, we'll take it a bit further and we'll see. Like I say, all the oil cooler pipes like that, they're a bugger to get off when it's in. You don't need to. I can do it now. It's a lot simpler to do it now. And I'll put it back in exactly like this, all built up. So then I've just got to put on the bits, you know, the pile of crap I took off. Well, not crap, expensive Porsche bits, but that's all the bits I took off to get it out. The air cleaner's in the boot. So yeah, I think it's time to tidy up, clean up all my tools, shuffle some stuff around, make a nice working space for it, so I've got somewhere to lay out the parts. And you know, eventually I might put it on once I've took all the top end off, I'll probably put it on my engine stand when I'm doing the pistons and cylinders and main bearings and stuff like that. But at the moment, because I'll take all the top stuff off first, then put it on my engine stand, I think, and then build the bottom end up, and then put it back on the floor, and then build the top end up when it's on the floor, I think, possibly. I'll have to see which is the best way of doing it, but I'm not sure my little engine stand, it probably says it can take this weight, but it's a bloody heavy engine. My engine crane knows about it, put it like that. But yeah, it did clear the radiator. I can understand why people probably take the radiator out, because it would give you a little, you wouldn't have to jack it up as high to get it out, but this thing's pretty good. It's just a Clark one. Don't know what the weight limit is on it, but it's you know, it's lifted it out pretty easily. So yeah, all in all, pretty easy to get out. But like I say, watching that other video, you're probably better to loosen the top bolts, take the bottom ones out, and then wiggle it and free off those pins a little bit first before you try and take it out, which is what I did, which seemed to, you know, all of a sudden it just popped out. And what I did was, at the top, when I'd unbolted the top two bolts, it was kind of just falling backwards this way. So what I did was, I got a screwdriver and tapped it in, got a jemmy bar and tapped it in, and levered it, and kept knocking them down. Then eventually it popped off the pins and came up. So it went like that and came up. Once it had come up, then that's it, I lifted it straight up. So it's just a case of getting them off them pins. I imagine it won't be as straightforward putting it back in, but you know, nothing is. But yeah, quite pleased. First 928 engine I've ever took out, and all right, to be honest, just a lot of shit to disconnect. Obviously, it's just the way I describe it, it's almost like taking two engines out. You know, it probably will be by the time I stripped it down, but no, it's a good day's work. This is going to go outside and be covered up now. Then I'm going to mainly work on the engine, and then get it, you know, get the engine back in. Like I say, I might change the rad, then get the thing running and driving. See, the brakes seem okay so far. So if it runs and drives okay, then it's going to be a case of run and drive it. Probably do the fuel pipes, not straight away, but I'm probably going to do the fuel pipes, because I don't like them. They're very rusty at the back, and if one of them goes, it's a bit, you know, you got the electric fuel pump, so it's going to piss fuel everywhere. So I'll probably end up doing them. But as long as it runs and drives and all the lights work and stuff, I'm probably going to run it and then just do bits on it gradually as I'm using it. So yeah, I don't quite understand. I've seen a few where they've been doing them. I think they must be 4.5, where these are rubber bungs. Now, mine look like Allen bolts. I'm assuming they've got rubbers behind them. But I'm assuming this is meant to be a 4.7S. So I'm assuming it's a 300 or 301 horsepower, whatever, engine and whatever. But I'd like to find an engine before I order the cam bolt kit and a gasket kit. But I think everybody says, online it says M11 and M12, which I think is the two sorts of 4.7, basically, which is going to be one or the other, and that comes from sort of 79 to 81, 83, 82, something like that, and this is an 81. So I think I should be right at that. But yeah, cam belt don't look too bad. I don't know what I'm going to do about the tensioner yet. I think you can get, so this is the tensioner affair, which I believe is filled with oil or some shit as well. Oh, it's got I think it should have bleed nipples on it, am I thinking? And that's the adjuster. When I've watched people do cam belts, they've talked about rebuilding them. But they're bloody expensive, new ones are. I ain't going to buy a new one, but I don't know if to rebuild it. But then there's an aftermarket one you can get, which is like an Audi adjuster, which is a self-adjusting thing, I think. So I might do a bit of research on that, because obviously rebuilding that is fine if that's the original system, but if there's a modern equivalent that does the same job and is more reliable, I might go to that, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Probably take this bracket off as well, because I think that must be for the aircon, which it ain't got. I don't need aircon. I'll just open a window. It's only going to make the miles per gallon any less, and I haven't met the shock of, well, 10 or 15 miles to the gallon yet, so I think putting the aircon in ain't going to help matters, so I don't think we'll be having aircon. But yeah, you can see those tube spacers now, where they go. And looking at the mountings where they go on, they're like an M8 hole, so I would imagine that actual bracket spacers would be M8. But I'll use lots of M8 stuff here and spacers and stuff, so I shall make some nice spacers and make sure that that pulley is, you know, perfectly in line. I believe I should have probably undone that while the engine was in, but I've got a friend who's got one of these really massive zip guns that can rip anything off, so I don't think I'll have a problem. Well, I hope I won't have a problem. It's coming off by hook or by crook. It'll come off some way. I don't really mind which way it'll come off, but it's going to come off. But yeah, pulleys look a bit, you know, a bit rusty. Obviously that's where the aircon would have come off. But yeah, not sure what this is for. I'm assuming this electronic bit on the meter would be for diagnostic, possibly. I don't know. Can't see any missing wire that plugs onto it, so maybe that's what it is, just diagnostic. But the airflow meter and stuff don't look horrendous. So you don't know what's been done before. I don't know how many miles this engine's done. I have got the address of the previous owner. I think it was previously in Edinburgh, then Preston for a bit, and then the guy I bought it off. So I think the guy in Edinburgh obviously did use it a bit because it was taxed in Edinburgh. So what I'm probably going to do is, because the V5 is so old, I've got his address. So I'll probably write to him, just give him my phone number. Ain't giving him my address, but I'll give him my phone number and just see if he's a nice guy. You never know, he might ring me up and say, oh yeah, I had that Porsche and we put an engine in it, or we did this or we did that, and just give you a bit more history to the car. I've had it before where I've managed to do that, and they've actually said, oh yeah, I've got the history book. Forgot to give it to the guy, and they've sent me the history for the car. So worth a try. I mean, service history don't really come into it now because the engine's all coming to bits anyway. I suppose gearbox wise and stuff it matters, but they're not too expensive to buy a second-hand one if I need to. One thing I did notice today is the headlights. This should have something around that edge, I would think. These are like H4, like the Volkswagen stuff I use, but it looks like it should have like a cover or a lip. I haven't even had the headlights up yet, so it might become obvious when the headlights come up, but it looks to me like it's missing something. I mean, it don't matter too much. It probably look a bit crap when the headlights are up, but maybe a rubber seal or something. But I shall look into that at a later date. Right, that's it. I'm home for my tea now.